Let's retrace the main events in the audio frequency circuits. The microphone brings about a pulsating direct current. The transformer changes this to an alternating current. Vacuum tubes amplify this alternating current, which then goes to the modulator.
Molecules containing more than one atom can rotate and vibrate. Sometimes vibration is simple in form. We can see that each vibrational mode has a different frequency, and all of the patterns of vibration may be different. Each of the vibrations is a simple harmonic motion.
The same peaked wave triggers a pulse-forming circuit, which creates a new waveform, pulses with flat tops. Notice that throughout these changes, the exact subdivisions of our second in time have not been lost. We still have precisely the same number of positive peaks per second.
Pulsating direct current. Pulsating direct current.
If the sine wave frequency is 1,000 cycles a second, we have actually divided 1 second into 1,000 equal parts. But in this sine wave, it's impossible to tell where each thousandth of a second begins and ends. That's why it's changed into this, a peaked wave, which can be measured from positive peak to positive peak.
The microphone brings about a pulsating direct current. Vacuum tubes amplify this alternating current, which then goes to the modulator.
Guys, I am excited to have our guest on this evening. He's on for his third Kickstarter with Relentlessly Bullied Hero. You guys will know him in a second, but introductions are about your boy are first. I'm the double whose door is always open. Gandalf with the gray and the white because I'm all black. Jordan LaForge, captain this enterprise. The Swag King with the crown. Shout out to Sunday Swagger. The long lost homie of Zach Morris and AC Slater since y'all got jokes. Sweet Chocolate Jesus, as proclaimed by Roman of the Empire himself, and the man running up the chimney because he wants all the smoke. I'm Left Eye E.G.O. And I will be joined this evening by the man that says, in brightest day or blackest night, it doesn't matter because my heart is still in this fight. We've got my man, Hero Darky Dark. Good sir, how are we doing this evening?
Yo, what's up, everyone? Here, Dark here, the hero you don't need but deserve, and I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on.
No problem at all, man. I've got to show you guys this because I know that we're talking about issue 3, but I know that I did this stream about maybe a year ago when I first was introduced to Hero Darky Dark, and I was in for his Kickstarter. And I just want to show you guys what you'd be getting with the purchase that you've made. Again, this is what I got for the first one, but I'm just going to give you guys a taste of what I got. So I wound up getting not one, but two covers for issue number one. Was actually really great art on the back of here as well. I think it was about maybe 70 pages on here for the actual first story, which is actually really good to get in a, I guess, a pilot story for a hero. Also included was, this is awesome. I need to get this framed. This is really great. I love this. I really like. I know this is from issue. This winds up being an issue 2, but for this being an issue number 1, this was awesome. And not only that, I got this awesome trading card of our homeboy Zeal. Great art, great coloring on the back on here, and giving information on here about our boy Zeal being the staunch agent of Shadow. So I will say, if you're ever worried about what packaging you're going to get when you fund these Kickstarters and they finally come out, his was fantastic. Presentation was great. Colors, presentation, the time that it took to get to my doorsteps was not incredibly long. So if you guys are ever worried about what you're getting when you fund a Kickstarter like this, number one, you're funding a fantastic artist and writer, and number two, very professional, and it came out very well done. All right, so with that, I'm going to say that we are going to go with issue number 3 at this point. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to give you guys the home screen for this. Now, all the links for Hero Darky Dark from his X and Instagram to the Kickstarter are in the description on this on the YouTube page that is up right now for this stream. So, sir, we are now in, I guess, what was it? Issue 3 then. But I guess I will say, and I read 1 and 2, and I know about Zeal, I know about Gamora, I know about Star Hero, but for those that don't know, for those of the uninitiated, and we're not able to read the first issue without giving too much, what's the plot of your story?
Ooh, you got me at the worst time. I need some water. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Ooh, sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, anyway, so the story is about a young hero. His name is Zeal, and he's trapped in this bonding deal with villain Gamora. And it's about 2 years from the current storyline. He got into an accident that almost cost him his life. Thankfully, Gamora was there to save him, but obviously, her being a villain, that didn't come for free. So, in exchange for saving him, she took his heart, quite literally. So, as he's dealing with the classic hero stuff, taking on villains, going against corrupt hero, he's still making his life just a little bit harder. So, it's kind of like your fun action adventure superhero shonen. If you like stuff like My Hero Academia or One Punch Man, it'll probably be the series for you.
All right. Well, makes sense. I really dig it. I mean, like I said, guys, it's I thought I was reading just another hero's origin story, and there was a twist midway through the first issue that made me say, I have to learn more about this character. I have to learn why Gamora is doing what she's doing. I like that it is an enclosed world where we know about superheroes, they exist, and people either want to be superheroes or they want to be villains. I know that there is a step ladder of villainy, as I saw in issue 2, but it was a really great starting issue, and we're now at issue number 3. So, from my understandings in reading issues 1 and number 2, issue 1 was about the reconstruction of the hero Zeal, and number 2, I kind of figured out, was mainly like finding allies in unlikely of places. So, with that, I know that we're now up to, I guess, issue 3. So what's going on with issue 3 now? With where is Zeal? Where's Gamora? What are we doing now in issue number 3?
Well, issue number 3, it really builds off of at least some of the more side stuff that was in chapter 2. Because of course, chapter 2 touches on, like you said, connection and finding allies and such. But along with chapter 2, I also mentioned that it seemed that there's a bit of a, I guess you could say, corruption or like a hidden yeah, hidden underside to some of heroism, with companies like the PYH and such. So it kind of builds off of this as Zeal hangs out with Tara, who's a friend of someone Zeal met in the second chapter.
Okay, yeah,
And
I think I know what you're talking
because,
about. Yeah.
yeah. So of course, it's starts off with Zeal, continuing doing what he'll do in the last chapter, trying to continue to make friends. As of course, you can't just call on people just out of nowhere. You gotta have like some sort of acquaintanceship, even if it's just meeting up once in a while. And so, as they're talking, he kind of finds out that she unfortunately has, I guess you say, a bit of a bad reputation about her. More so that there's a lot of defaming rumors that's being spread about her that she doesn't really know where it comes from, but she has a decent idea too. And of course, Zeal's kind of more like, why are heels wasting time doing this gossiping stuff? Like for people whose job it is to like actually going on doing stuff, it sounds seems real that they're instead wasting time doing this high school mean girl stuff. So yeah, so,
If
so
those that
yeah,
don't know,
it just Zero kind of like
West.
take this song as people as kind of like just touch on individual values and not selling out and not letting yourself be derived or derailed off your path because someone else, whether it's a veteran, someone new, some self-centered person, or just some psychopath trying to get in your way.
I like. So I mean, so I guess the follow up to this is is your thought process to have a theme for every issue, or are you writing to kind of figure out where things go and kind of find your footing that way?
I'd say it's a little bit of both too. Well, we all follow along a main story, but well, I mean, since it's the beginning and such, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, we all follow the main story, but each part of it kind of has its own main theming to help set the base of what's going on, what does being a hero mean to at least Zeal and his perspective and everything, kind of like building the blocks for it. But as we're building the blocks for it, we're using a certain theme or sense about it.
Okay. I mean, I like that, that strategy for writing. I got Abomination AJ. What's up, good sir? Thank you for joining us. No, I mean, I think it's I think it's a great way to write the characters in there, especially if you're. I think sometimes when you write with something specifically in mind, you're trying to force it in there, and it seems like with your writing, you find those traits that you're talking about. They're kind of woven in there, but it's not the main story. The main story is still the main story. Is Zeal trying to be the best hero that he can be, even if he's getting in his own way, and sometimes that person being in the way is Gamora. But yeah, I like the fact that you don't make these lessons the center point of the story or anything that knocks it off of the reader's attention off of the story that you have on there. So I know that we've had growth over these issues for our hero Zeal. I know that we've had the growth on there too. So I mean, I will ask, how has Zeal grown in your mind from issue 1 to the current issue 3?
I'd say that his growth has definitely, I won't say it's been anything major, but it's definitely good for him as a person as he kind of is getting out of, I guess you could say, his initial struggles or flaws. Him being a bit of an edgelord, he had his flaws, he's not the best socially. We saw that at the beginning of chapter 2 where he can barely talk to 2 other people. So
Yeah.
he's definitely been improving too well. He's kind of a bit more, it's like, yeah, it's baby steps, baby first lesson, but regardless, it's still a lesson that helps him open up, be able to at least somewhat talk to other people. You can actually have a conversation with someone without it strictly having to be work centric, at least enough so that they can, make acquaintance with each other. So he definitely is opening up a bit more as a person. Not so much like he's, telling his own backstory and such, but it's like, okay, well, he went from he's scaring away the holes to okay, well, he can at least be around them.
That is a good one. I think the thing that's interesting for me is I actually know a guy that's a lot like Zeal. And the funny thing is like I don't think he understands that he's Zeal. But I'm reading this, I'm like, I know exactly who this is. I'm friends with this guy. I always trying to ice skate uphill. Like, bro, chill out, calm down, make some friends. He's like, no, but I have a duty and I have to do this. And I'm like, bro, chill. Just calm it down. So I'm reading this and I was like, I know exactly who this guy is. So he did a spot on characterization of a type of person, a type of strong-willed and very focused personality that socially can rub people the wrong way. So it was a very good job doing that. So I will say conversely, we asked about the growth of Zeal. How about Gamora? How has she grown as a character in your eyes from issue 1 to issue 3?
I say, at least without including stuff that happened in issue 3, her growth isn't, I guess, say direct, but it's more like it's implied, at least compared to how she was originally when she found Zeal, which the beginning of chapter 3 kind of taps into as, throughout both first and second chapter was never like explicitly focused on. There's always like little nuggets of things that's implied that some things he did in the past is a bit more villainous than she is in the current present. Like she talks about killing people before, when dealing with bombs. Well, she said that, yeah, no, I don't bother with bombs. It still implies that she still knows all that stuff. She knows about black market stuff and such. So,
True.
reading through the first 2 chapters, one can obviously at least pick up on the hints that, okay, yeah, no, she was, at least a very morally black character. And then, in issue 3, you kind of get to see her when she first met Zeal, and
Yeah.
she's a lot more compared to how she currently treats some. She's a lot more colder, straight to the point, and not as I get to say cuddling as you can see in later issues. So when we mind us see her in the current place, we kind of get in mind going like, oh, okay, so maybe even if she doesn't realize it, just her being next to someone is slightly making her be a slightly better person. As that's something that chapter 2 touches on, is that whether or not we like her or not, yeah, we should be able to stand on our own, but if we can, we should try to see if we can have someone walk alongside us, because if someone has no one they can ever walk alongside themselves, they can easily either go insane or let the darkness or like the oppression around them get to them. And so while it isn't directly stated, you can kind of see in their relationship that Zeal, both of them being around each other is good for them. For Zeal, it's good to have Gamora around, as she can kind of break him out of his usual, edgelord, strict self, to have him show more of his emotions, which is good for both the audience and the story. So we're not just, gritty dark. And then for Zeal, even if he doesn't realize it, but him being around and him being him makes Gamora a bit softer as a person to where, yeah, if in the past he would be willing to just be like, nah, screw this, screw that, I'm gonna just do all this. She's now more willing to be like, okay, well, yeah, I'm still gonna be a little shit, but I'll keep it down. I won't build down a building just because I feel like it. I will be tame. So yeah, so that's how I kind of see her growth.
I like that. I mean, I guess the thing that I thought of too is when you say, the darkness, not let the darkness seep in, and the fact that Zeal is rubbing off on Gamora as we see the issues progress. And I don't want to give anything away, guys. All I will say that Gamora's power set is very interesting, and it's going to be. I really want to see how this is going to work if, in fact, they become an item. I don't know if you have a will they or won't they set up for Zeal and Gamora. I'm just saying if they eventually do decide to be a couple, her using her power set and being around him is going to be very interesting to see how that comes about. I mean, do you have in your mind how this is going to end up, or are you just again writing to figure out where it goes and then decide where it's going to go on when you're writing?
At the moment, I do have a kind of solid idea, but whenever I do stories, while I do have a decent solid idea, I never want to ever fully lock into it because how perception change and such can greatly
Okay.
affect things. What seemed like a good idea at one moment, as you get close to it, you kind of realize, maybe let me edit this about, or do this, or maybe I went too far, or maybe this can be better and such. It's one of those things where it's like, have the path ahead, but don't go so locked in that even if you're going off a cliff, you can't, steer away. It's kind of like what I mentioned before, where Gamal's a bit tame. That I guess you could say in the original script of things, she was doing a lot more wild stuff while next to Zeal, and of
Uh,
course, as the her words started going to paper, I kind of had to go. I need to cut some of that out because it would be kind of weird and inconsistent that Zeal being who he is wouldn't have more of an issue being next to someone who's setting buildings on fire. So it's like,
yes.
okay, I gotta make sure that she doesn't do anything too wild that Zia won't just go, yeah, no, screw this deal. I don't care what you do to me. I'm not I'm not standing for it anymore.
No, I mean, I do like the fact that you said that the character is toned down. It's just because she's more of she's treated as an annoyance or a bully as opposed to someone that's going to be his Zeal's legitimate villain. And you get to see the actual villains that Zeal does face. You're like, okay, these are credible threats, and they do mean him and the people of the city harm. So he has to defeat the villain and save the city. It's just that Gamora is a nuisance while he's trying to do all of these things. So I like the fact that you did say you toned it down so that it justifies why they have to be together, more or less. I really like the way that you had that set up. I was looking and reading this. You did and I'm going to see if I can share this without messing up what I've got. You did a very interesting thing in issue number 2. So I can find it here. Yeah, so it's I think it's page good. I don't know, it's page 7 or 17. I'm gonna double check and see where I had it on here. It is panel 7, page 49. That's when Zeal teamed up with Vecno Shock. And you've got a quote on here by Zeta chapter 1. And I'm going to go ahead and try to make sure I can read this here. It says, if you gain a mature companion, a fellow traveler, right living and wise, overcoming all dangers, go with him, gratified and mindful. I have got to ask, good sir, what gave you the inspiration to include this particular quote in this issue number 2?
Oh well, it's one of those things where I went before to where I have a solid idea of how things go, but I'm never fully locked in as it helps me allowing, I guess you could say, other influences or stuff around me that I can use to help make something better. And this is kind of one of them, as it was always gonna be that for at least this story, it was gonna like end in Zeal and Vecno Shock, teaming up, beating up the bad guy and such. But it was, I guess you could say it was gonna be like a more I guess you could say generic or by the script fight, just them beating up the extra people before the main guy goes off and everything. But you do you know the anime Records of Ragnarok?
Wait, say again, I'm sorry.
I said, do you know the anime or at least the manga of Records of Ragnarok?
The Ragnarok one?
Yeah, Records of Ragnarok.
Dude, I've seen the preview for it. I swear I got like maybe 15 minutes into one episode. My wife had me do something and I completely forgot about it, but I know what you're talking about. Is it on Netflix now?
Yep.
Yes, I didn't get to see it, but I like the premise. It's awesome.
Yep. Well, first of all, I suggest reading the manga as the anime is kind of. But anyways,
I understand.
So one of the fights in the series, involves the Buddha fighting against some I forgot what the guy he's fighting is, but long story short, around like the end of the fight, it's basically referenced that same chapter or passage. And so, me being who I am, I'm like, oh, okay, I wonder what that is. Because
Oh.
in the series, it just said, oh, yeah, it came from this passage. So, out of curiosity, I kind of, look into it. Because when I first read it in that manga, I kind of didn't get what it was going for. Just one of those things. I'm like, oh, okay, these two guys are, teaming up, whatever. Not really like they're teaming up, but like this one guy is using something left behind by another guy to, beat someone. But that was just from the actor itself, not from the words. So me being who I am, I was just like, oh, let me look up, see what it is. And turns out it was a passage from the blah blah whatever the book's name is. It's I the name of it, but I found it was like one of those. I forgot how it's defined, but it's either one of the books the Buddha wrote or it was written about the Buddha. It was one of those two things. And so I was able to like read the full chapter and such. And, like most, I guess I could say religious texts and such, usually like a chapter, one of those ones that have a lesson at the end of it. And so, after I read the full one, I kind of get it as it was to summarize it. It was basically just saying, as people, we shouldn't need or be forced to. Uh, you should be able to you should be able to stand by yourself. But if you can find someone who can have similar values and you can go through trials again, that stuff, you should go with them. Kind of saying, yeah, you should be whole yourself, but also be able to, or if you happen to come across someone that can walk with you, go with them and stuff like that. And so, after reading that, I kind of look back at the script. I'll just be like, this can really, really basically incorporate or like really go along with what the second chapter was about. As Zeal, a guy who kind of have his own issues and such. It's not like he's the most perfect person. He definitely has some things to work with, but the second chapter kind of taps on a whole lot of things because while Zeal, him being an edge on such, it is very important that yes, he needs friends. He can't do everything by himself. He can't just be a socially inept, awkward person the whole time. At the same time, it's not like he's completely incorrect in all his assertions as being, uh, just being, what's the one I'm looking for? Just being with a group doesn't just, just because you need people by your side doesn't mean you should just be with any group. Because, there are groups that are bad influences. Just because you're lonely doesn't mean you need to join the closest local gang. Because, like, okay, well,
True.
yeah, you're not alone, but look what the heck you doing and all that kind of such. And so, with how that relates to Zeal and his issue and his problem with the PYH, it kind of touched on that because, well, yes, he
Question:
does need
What
friends.
is? You tell everyone what the found that group is that you just mentioned for those that don't know.
The PYH, it stands for Progress for Young Hill. It's supposedly I won't say a new organization, but an organization that rise to prominence after a event 2 years from the current storyline. Well, after like a bunch of new heels died and such, they kind of rose from the whole tragedy and all that stuff. And so we don't have too much of what they've done to piss you off, but from the little hints and stuff that song, it kind of at least implies that they'll, if not evil, or at least shady people or like irresponsible people. And so it kind of puts that, bit of poison that, okay, Zeal doesn't trust him for a reason, probably because he might have uh, seen something that like really, set off those alarm bells in someone's head. Because like I said, while Zeal is not a perfect human being and some stuff he said is a bit, over dramatic, it's not like he's shown to be so over dramatic that nothing he says, doesn't mean anything. It's like, okay, no, he's at least trustworthy enough that you can take at least some things he say seriously. So the fact they had such actual disdain for them shows that okay, they must have done something. because most of the time when Zeal doesn't like something, he just leaves while the wood. But for them, it seemed like
True.
okay, no, there's like deep beast thing, so it implies something happened, and so that kind of what implies back to the sacred text and such. Well, it's like yeah, just because he needs people to team up with doesn't mean he needs to immediately go to the next group, as it could end up being people like the PYH, which who knows what they could be doing that Zeal haven't even seen yet and such. And so instead of him being forced to team up with them, he tells them off. But thankfully throughout it all, he meets with, at least finds someone who actually has, I guess to say, some values that he wants to be alongside with. And that's one of those things. When I read that text, I was like, oh yeah, I can easily just incorporate that into the story.
Mhm. I do like that. Okay. So I mean, I guess it sounds like where we're moving toward is possibly Zeal teaming up with more heroes. Are we going to possibly get some kind of league or a Avenger without being specific on it? Which way are you leaning on this? Because we got to know the way you're talking about collaboration and Zeal picks his friends. It sounds like you might be heading that direction.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I think it's kind of safe to say, since it's basically like it's essentially the plot, or like the main driving force between the second chapter to yeah, no, he is looking for people to team up with. So I guess you can say he's aiming towards, if not a league or a group, basically just a network of people we can call in at times when he needs backup or assistance. But of course, some of that end up being his friends, so they might be around him more often too. Just being friends that he's with often.
Okay. Like I said, I'm looking forward to this. And guys, one thing that you can also have the ability to get from this Kickstarter, I'm gonna have to ask you how you even figured this out, was you've actually got some merch. You've got Zeal's hoodie on here, fully customized for the front and back. Please take us through the process of not only, I guess, creating your merch, but putting it on a Kickstarter. What was the process for doing all this?
It was kind of funny, as I kind of just found out like what's what I've been looking for. Basically, I was working on like a different project with someone, and while they were doing it, they introduced me to this website, going like, oh yeah, for your stuff, there's this website where you can get basically custom merch you can use to sell. And like I said, it's custom, so you can put your logos and everything on it. And so you're like, yeah, let's go check it out. If you have anything, let me know. We can see what we can do with it. So of course I went through it, and the second I saw that they did hoodies, I was just like, well, please check, ask whoever you can, see if they have any option to do a custom hoodie. And he found it. We tested it out, see what we can do, and then got the design, and then was able to bring the hoodie to life. And now technically speak, I could print them whatever I want. So the second that was a go and we were good on it, I'm like, yep, I'm putting this in the campaign, as that will be certainly at least a fun item to put in there. As the hoodie is both, fully American made in America, basically. So
Oh, nice.
yeah.
I like that. Local. I appreciate that's not bad at all, man. I think it's actually incredibly really cool to have it set up like that, to have your own merch and your own hoodie included in your Kickstarter. I mean, that is a really cool thing to do. Let me see. There's something else that I have on here that I have to double check.
Yeah, because
And
like a lot of things, it was one of those things I was kind of looking for a different way to construct my Kickstarters, because before I was doing like stickers and such, but while they were fun to do, it's one of those things where it's like it didn't really do much for my campaign. It was one of those things where it kind of just ended up being more work or effort for like basically zero or like little return. So it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I probably shouldn't do much of that anymore. But if I take that out, I'm gonna need something else to fill out my Kickstarter things with, or else I'll feel a little bit too barren or lacking pizzazz. And then, that's when a friend sent me that, and I was just like, oh, yeah, that makes things much better. Now it's easy to make just about any Kickstarter,
Oh
unique, because
wow.
either it'll be like another piece of merch or like something else they're doing. And I'm like, oh yeah, thank you. This makes things a lot easier for me.
So it's not as difficult as it looks, because I mean, all of this looks professional the way it's set up, the panels, and everything, and that was relatively easy for you to do.
I won't say it was like easy, like snap a finger easy, but it was one of those things where I was like, okay, it's not hard. It's not like I had to jump through 20 different loops or anything. It's just one of
Mm,
those things where it's like, okay, of course, there's things I need to look out for. Like one of those things like, okay, I can't go too crazy with designs, at least without worrying about consistency and such. But thankfully, Zeal's hoodie isn't that complicated. It's just basically
sure.
3 different colors on it. It's just specificon color on it. So I'm like, okay, that's easier to translate into it. And then you have to worry about, okay, will everything come out fine? Will all the lines be straight and everything? But thankfully, this is one of the ones that does. Granted,
Hey,
for
man.
like a lot of the future ones, they probably won't need to be like fully customized front and back. They can be like more, I don't want to say generic, but more standard or like easier to do custom merch. But regardless,
Okay.
it'll still be custom merch.
Hmm. I'm gonna have to have you message me about that link you use, 'cause it looks really cool. I don't know what I'm gonna create, but I just want to look and see whatever thing I can make custom, because that
Oh
looks
hell yeah! I'll
awesome what you
slide it
got
up.
on there. I appreciate it, man. So in addition to Relentlessly Bullied #3, you've got another Kickstarter that's coming out relatively soon. It's called Storm Rail Riders, and it's issue #1. Sir, uh, please tell us about this latest project that's coming up, I guess, after Relentlessly Bullied Hero.
Yes, sir. This will be a lot easier. Have you played Jet Set Radio or watched the anime/manga E.G.O?
I have not, but I don't think I have, but they sound very familiar. I might have to look it up later to verify it, and I probably have played it, but the name just off the top is vague to me. So, like, what is that?
Basically, I guess you can say, how can I say? It basically it's the definition of the rule of cool being above all else, but not in a story goes out the wall, but more in a it's very much a I guess you could say a rebellion type of series where it's people on these high functioning or like high I'll just call it, just think about people with high modified, that's what I'm looking for. High modified inline skates where they're able to do like awesome tricks, go off building, do flips and all this kind of cool stuff. And usually there's a bit of rebellion and self-determination and freedom things with it. It's one of those like it's very much a you read and watch it for the vibes and the awesome factor of it, where you
Okay.
just enjoy seeing the cool things, seeing people define their own freedom, kind of like get that bit of youthful rebellion back.
Okay. I dig it.
Like
All
I
right.
would
I mean,
call it punk, but it'll be I don't know, I feel like it'll be a bit of a disservice to just certify as just punk when it's so much more than just that. Yeah.
all right. And like, how have you been working around this behind the scenes? Like, how long did this go from being a thought to something that you're putting up as your next kid starting project?
Honestly, there's a lot of history with this book because technically speaking, it was something I was planning on releasing last year, but the artist I originally had on it, he kind of just disappeared off the internet, like just fully disappeared. And that was kind of depressing because it's like, okay, I always putting money into this and blah 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 and all this kind of such. And so it was one of those things where it's one of those series that kind of just went like, okay, well that's depressing. The series kind of fell into dead waters to me until a little bit later, a couple months later this year, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna try to give the series at least another chance. At least try to see if I can do the first chapter. And then, thankfully I find another artist who, ironically, the new artist I got, I feel like he can at least get the style I wanted for the series better anyways. So I'm like, okay, well, that worked out for me. And then from there, I'll just working on it. And then, thankfully, ironically, he just finished the pages for it like just recently. So it's all ready for
Awesome.
next week. And yeah, with that, I was just like, okay, well, I'll just do it the month after this one. September is still a good month for crowdfunding. So why not go for it?
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, if it's anything like Relentlessly Bullied Hero, you've got another hit on your hands. And this one looks like it's going to be fun. It's got that rebellious angst to it. I do like the fact it's someone that actually is joining a crew instead of someone that is setting out on their own as Zeal. So it makes a perfect foil. And I like the fact that you're not just choosing the same trope to do over and over with just different characters. So, I mean, that shows that, you're going to be versatile with this. And it sounds like it's going to be a very fun book to read. So, guys, I have put all of Hero Darky Dark socials in the YouTube description, as well as where you can find the Kickstarter on there as well. Before we sign out, I'm going to give you the floor to let everyone know if you've got any upcoming streams or any upcoming projects. Go right ahead, sir.
I'll see, put him on the spot.
You know it. Go right ahead, man.
I'm joking. Well, so Heal Darker Dark, that's based on universal name. You can find me just about anywhere: TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, X, or Twitter, however you want to call it, or even inside your walls. I'm basically wherever you want me to. And I just make comic manga. At the moment, I'm in that phase where I'm like, there's so many stuff and ideas and like basically concepts that I've been waiting for like the mainstream or like the industry to like pick up on and continue, but they haven't. And so, with my ability to create my own story like Thanos, I'm just going like, okay, screw it, I'll do it myself. Like it's what a lot of people complain about mainstream stuff is now. It's like, okay, well, if they're not doing it, I guess it's time for you to do it yourself. And again, it's not that easy, but hey, when there's a opening in the marketplace, that's the time as ever to fill it.
All right. I love but yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday evening. We've got Roman of the Empire will be hosting his show at 7 p.m. on his channel. So after you are done streaming with us, head right over there to his channel. But for my man here at Darky Dark and myself, we are out. You guys take care and have a fantastic night.